Well, thank you, young people. I appreciate it very, very much. Great to hear you singing. And good singing here. Good singing here tonight. Take your Bibles, please, and turn to the book of Matthew. Book of Matthew. Certainly glad to be. I was just actually in the neighborhood from California, so it's not that bad, really. So, and what a place to be. Preacher's birthday. You didn't tell me all about that. And I looked up here. It's good to have your daughter with us. And good. Amen. And Brother Fred, I forgot all about it. It's Golden State Baptist College, right? And so I was his instructor, I guess you would say. And he enjoyed our classes. He was there 7 years. So we enjoyed him all those times and enjoyed all those things together. So I'm glad to be in church tonight. It's great to be here. Our church is back home. I just saw there's a balcony. Wow. And this is a nice place. They should be able to afford a big birthday gift for you. I mean, let's just go and milk this one out the best we can. Amen. I don't even know your pastor. I don't even know him. And I had the most pleasant conversation driving here. He's worried about the rush hour traffic. Don't worry about it, all right? I've been married 40 years. I saw my wife drive too. Don't worry about it. So we are good to go with all that stuff. But this is beautiful, beautiful. I mean, I just say this, don't take this for granted. Don't ever take this for granted. You come here and say, that's my church. Oh, boy. You know what people would give to have a facility like this, to have a ministry like this, to have a pastoral leadership and youth leadership. This doesn't come that often. Boy, you are very privileged here. So I appreciate and glad to see what I get to see. Glad to see what I can see. And Brother Bruce Fry, I don't know if you know him or not. I love sitting with famous people. That's why I invited him to come. And I love Brother Bruce. I was in Arkansas. And in Arkansas, I was with a dear brother of Christ. And we're driving around. He said, listen to this song. And Captain of the Bus. And I said, well, I'm going to have that man come out and sing. And so we turned the CD over. And your phone number is on the back. You probably don't do that anymore. Phone number on the back. And I said, let's call him. Let's just call him. And worst thing you do is hang up. I hear this, hello, this is Brother Bruce. I just wait to see this recording on. Hello, this is Brother Bruce. I said, well, this is Brother Tim, Brother Bruce. And I got to talk to Brother Bruce Fry. I mean, like person to person. And I asked him to come out to California. Been out there numerous times. And you're in for a treat, that's for sure. Let's all stand for the reading of the Word of God. I do appreciate the music, no doubt about it. Appreciate it. And thank you. I went to the room. I had a nice hotel room and a little basket there, you know, some fruit and wine and cigarettes. And thank you. It's just trying to make me feel at home. I appreciate it, right? I'm glad to come into an established church and to know that you have a youth group here, but to see young couples here, to see some gray hair saints. Mine's not gray, mine's chrome. And I told you I was married for 40 years. I've got 4 kids, 15 grandkids. And just with them last week, had them all together in one place. And so I had brown hair last week, and this is what happened because of that. Everybody talks about church and church growth and church drivenness and so forth. Why wouldn't they want to come? Nothing wrong with the book. Nothing wrong with the Lord. Why aren't the places packed out? We have to kind of take some responsibility ourselves about that. I have been married 40 years. I have this next week, I will have pastored Pleasant Valley Baptist Church 31 years. My wife is the love of my life. My ministry I get to do is a privilege of my life, no doubt about it. But I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, unless we do some with our churches and start reaching our country here, it's a rough shape. If you believe that, say amen. You can look at the White House, you can look at our politics, and you can look at racism on the rise and diversity and division and schism and everything else. We're in a mess. If you look at Matthew chapter 5, and once you begin with me at verse number 38. Matthew chapter 5 and verse number 38. The Bible says, ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. I want you to understand, this is Jesus Christ himself saying these words, and Jesus is relating to the crowd and saying, ye have heard that it hath been said. So Jesus Christ is reiterating truth. Jesus Christ is somewhat bringing your mind to attention. Jesus Christ is now gathering your mind and your thought about what he's going to say. It hath been said, an eye for an eye. Would you say that phrase with me, please? Ready? An eye for an eye. Let's try that again, okay? An eye for an eye. Jesus said, it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. Now say that second phrase, ready? A tooth for a tooth. Let's say the first one again, ready? An eye for an eye, and second one, a tooth for a tooth. You know what Jesus Christ is saying? He's laying out the mandate of how God said how to live. If you want to tell me about the Old Testament, this is the Old Testament, and just the two statements right there. An eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Jesus Christ, beginning his ministry, is reaching the people now, and he's saying, here it is, ladies and gentlemen, here's what you've been taught, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. This is how we live our life right here. Let's look at that again. Jesus said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. It's the way we live. That's fair. That's fair. There's that line that's fair. There's that line that's called what? Help me. There's that line that's called what? Fair. There's a line that's called what? Fair. An eye for an eye. A tooth for a tooth. That's fair. That's fair. Look at verse 38 one last time. You have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you, that you resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee in the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if any will sue you at the law, and take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also. And whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him twain. Give to him that asketh thee, and for him that would borrow of thee, turn not thou away. Ye have heard that it hath been said, he repeats himself, thou shalt love thy neighbors and hate thy enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them that despitefully use you and persecute you. Skip down to verse 48. Be therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. I'll say it one last time. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. That's fair. That's the fair line. That's the fair line right there. But Jesus said, now let's talk about Christianity. See, there's an area above that line. Oh, this is fair. But there's an area above that line. Now, I don't like to say that, but there's an area below that line also. But Jesus says, if you want your church to do something, hey, if you want the crowd to talk about, boy, this place right here, I'll tell you what, it won't be by living the line, because everybody does that, right? I mean, the Pharisees will do that, and the publicans will do that, and we know those underlined, but hold on. Hey, who can live above that line? Now you're talking. Can I ask you an honest question? Do you live the line? Well, I'm fair, I'm all right. I'm okay. Do you live below the line? Ooh. Or do you strive to live above that line? Father in heaven, I pray tonight as we simply read one of the very first mandates of Jesus Christ himself. And he rehearses the entire Old Testament, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But there's something better than that Old Testament living. There's better than that Old Testament law. Oh, there's something better than an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Oh, there's something better. And that's living above that line. Lord, challenge this church this night to live above that line. For Christ's sake, I pray with thanksgiving. Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. Everyone knows fair. I was preached a little bit on the drive here and kind of talked a little bit about my home life and his home life a little bit. I was not reared in a Christian home. I did not go to a Christian school. I did not go to a Christian college. And in fact, my dad was married 4 times. My mother was married 3 times. My dad just didn't get it down. My mother hopped from here to here. And my mother's last husband was literally class bona fide a jerk. And I don't mind saying that. At the age of 7, I hated my stepfather so much that I wanted to go and get in a gym and lift weights. And my whole goal at 7 years of age was I was going to get so strong, I was going to go back and I'm going to whoop my stepfather. I was going to kill my stepfather. I hated the man. He was not kind to my mother. I'm not talking about the pushing and shoving and throwing down. I'm talking about, I'd say about every other, maybe 3rd month, the hospital would be called. My mother would leave on a gurney and leave the house. And then I hated living at home. I hated to be that man. My brothers and sisters and I, we don't talk about it past. We don't even mention it. And years later, he murdered my mother, shot her 5 times in broad daylight, 4:31 in the middle of the afternoon, May 16th, 1964, shot his head off and committed suicide. So I grew up in every different type of home and situation there was. But I learned something. I learned what fair was. Fair was a straight line right across the road, right there. Anything above that was good, anything below that wasn't good. I learned what fair was all about. How many of you here grew up and you had to go ahead and split a soda with your brother or sister? Ever do that, split a soda? Remember how you put the 2 glasses on the table? You took that soda pop bottle, whatever you call them here, Coca-Cola or whatever you call them. You poured a little bit on this side, you poured a little bit on this side over here. You waited until that effervescence went down. I actually know that word, amen, okay? And you wait for that bubbly to go down. It went down here, so you pour a little bit more over here. And watch this. Without the very State's Department of Equal Justice and weights, watch this. We got that thing perfectly even, didn't we? Because we knew what fair was. Watch this. My brother always poured the Coca-Colas. And I watched that line. I knew what was fair. I always had to share the candy bars. My brother never caught on to it. He never did. I'd break the candy bar in 2. This is a little bit bigger. I took a bite of this one. Now this is too big. I took a bite of this one. Wasn't until about the 4th bite, my brother said, that's not fair. And then he finally learned what was going on. Can I tell you something about this book? I live very little of this book. I live very little of this book. Just trying to challenge your teenagers, okay? And the part that I do live, I don't live very well. This is a seasoned church. You got a lot of folks in here. Let me just read that verse. You've heard that it's been said, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, boom. But I'm telling you, the reason is not evil. But whosoever shall smite thee on the right cheek, turn the other one also. I don't do that. I'm sorry. Oh, sure, go ahead, hit me one more. I'm sorry. And neither would you. So we're 0 for 1. Well, let's go to the next one. If any man will sue you at the law and take away your coat, then give him your cloak also. I wouldn't do that either. I'm in a lawsuit. I'm in law students. Some having 25 years going to ministry, and everything we did done right. I mean, right down the road, and had the police call in, hauled some man off, and went to jail, paid his fine, did everything right. And yet 25 years later, he's come back and said, you know, the church is bigger, the church has a little more money now, and we're going to sue you for something 25 years ago. And now we're going to sue the church, we're going to sue the preacher, and sue the preacher's family, and they're all in a lawsuit. And here's what the Bible tells me: if they take away my home and take away my property and take away my church, I'm supposed to walk up to the man after the service, take off my coat, and give it to him. I ain't doing that. You wouldn't either. Don't look at me like some Pharisee. You wouldn't do that. 0 for 2. 0 for 2. Here we go. Yea, you've heard it been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies. I ain't doing that. Bless them that curse you. Is anybody here with me at all? Like when someone cusses you out, do you say, God bless you folks, I just love you. I just love you. You're about as religious as they are in my church. Here we go. Let's go to another one. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you. Those people that do well to try to hurt me and hurt my family, I've had a bomb threat. I've had to go out to my house. I had the police go in and all the other stuff go on. And you want me to write them a letter and say, thank you very much for praying for you? I'm not going to do that. I like this next one. Pray for them that despitefully use you. Now, I do that. I pray they'll go no, never mind. I shouldn't say that. Okay, so good. You wonder why people aren't running to our churches. Because we're good at living a line. When Jesus Christ tells us we got to get rid of this lifestyle here, we got to have somebody that lives way up here. Are you here tonight? Is that us? I just gave my church a little illustration about the very first man that ever climbed the mountain called Mount Everest. And it was accomplished in May in 1953, and Edmund Hillary was his name. And there's a lot of things we can learn about just that mountain, all that it takes in. And so I guess the question tonight is really, are we going to live the line? Hopefully we'll never live below the line, but will we just maybe entertain the thought tonight that no matter where we are, and that we can step off our Christian living and live above that line, that when people see you within the community and see your daily transactions and how you live and how you resolve conflict, they say, you know something, they've got something I don't have. I want to live above that line. I want to have the same lifestyle they do. So let me just say this. Realize, number one, it takes a huge personal decision not to live the line. It takes a huge personal decision not to live below the line. If I'm going to live in this area up here, I got to live above the line. I can't quote the man, and I can't even tell you his name, but he spoke at Bush's funeral, and he says one thing about the ex-President Bush is he always took the high road because it was less traveled and not much traffic up there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that high road ought to be very, very heavy in traffic with those who call themselves born-again believers. And so we want to take that high road. Maybe learn a little bit about an illustration from Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the highest peak on the world. Mount Everest is 29,035 feet. If you stand on top of Mount Everest, you are standing on top of the world. On top of the world. And people all around the world make an expedition to go there because they say, I want to stand on top of the world. I want to be on the highest point of the earth. I want to set my sights on high. I want to climb Mount Everest. For many, it's a lifelong journey. Thousands try every single year. Thousands fail, and many die. Many die. Every year, people die trying to climb Mount Everest. It was his dream, and now was his time. His name was Dan Mazer. And Dan Mazer had trained for 6 years, and preparation and hardship and sacrifice, has spent over $60,000 of investment. Some pay over $100,000 ago. Oh, but he wants to stand on top of the world. That's his personal ambition, personal dream. I'm going to stand on top of the world. You have to understand Mount Everest is not very hospitable. It does peak at 29,035 feet. We know Mile High Stadium. In fact, I flew in there today on my little layover, and we know Mile High Stadium. That's 5,000 and something feet. This is 29,000 feet, 6 times Mile High Stadium. Sub-zero temperatures, high hurricane-like winds, a volatile weather pattern, no oxygen, 80 degrees during the day, minus 30 degrees at night. Just not a very nice place to go sometimes. Only window of time to climb Mount Everest is right around the month of May, because the jet stream, which flies over Mount Everest for about 40 or 50 days, sets on the other side. So there's only about a window of about 40, 50 days you're able to climb Mount Everest. It is known for 4 different camps. You have a base camp at 17,000 feet. You have the icefall camp, which is 21,000 feet. That's the most dangerous. That's where all the ice comes down. It's very unstable. Then you have what they call acclimation camp, and that's where you go ahead and get acclimated to the atmospheric conditions. The last one at 26,000 feet, only 3,000 feet away, and they call that the summit camp. You're only there for a day before you go up. Dangerous? Oh yeah, people die every year. Average 10 to 12 people die every year. In fact, if you look on any type of, if you want to research it, and you look at the trek they take up there, it is all spotted by over 200 dead bodies. You don't take the bodies off there. If you try to do that, you probably lose your life yourself. Listen, at 27,500 feet is Mr. Green Boots. Mr. Green Boots got tired in his trek, and he just sat down like this right here and could not get back up, and he froze to death. He's a mile marker. He's still there. He's frozen. He's preserved. It's amazing. If you hear anything, hear this. When you climb Mount Everest, you have to live by the code. Everyone knows it, and they live by it. The code is this: I am going to stand on top of the world. Nothing's going to stop me, and nobody's going to stop me. And that means if someone else falls, I'm going to the top. Now, watch this. Don't talk about it, but it's the code, and they all know it. You see, when you get up to what they call the death zone, 28,000 feet, literally every step you take is a struggle just for the atmospheric pressures and lack of oxygen, and you're just trying to get up there because you just want to get on top of that thing a little bit. You just want to get up there. And if you stop long enough to try to help someone else up and someone else do something, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. And so the code is, you just do your route yourself, and that's what it is. It's his window, Dan Mazer. He knows the code. He's all ready to go. His day come. May 5th, 7:30 a.m., he got word on the radio, it's time to go. Dan Mazer with 2 of his buddies started out. He had his window open, started to go. They passed by a British climber that died 10 days earlier, had not been taken off the mountain, and that British climber had 40 other men on his team, and not one stopped to help him. While climbing, Dan Mazer saw a flash of bright yellow. As he's looking 3,000 feet to the peak, he saw this bright flash of yellow. He thought maybe a tent had blown over, or maybe some other type of debris. And he looked at it again through his goggles and wiped his goggles. And he looked up and he saw a man. He saw a man with bright yellow pants. As he looked for the man again, he saw the man was bare-chested. He saw the man was struggling. And he said, "Hey, what's your name? What's your name?" The guy cried out, "My name is Lincoln Hall. Lincoln Hall. I heard him on the radio last night. I heard his team lost him. His team gave up on him. His team went on up. Did not take it. Hey, he's alive. He's alive. Lincoln Hall's alive. I can't believe it." And now Dan Mazer had a decision to make. Do I go on top of the world and fulfill my ambition? Or do I stop and help somebody else? Do I take my $60,000 and all the years of preparation and stand on top of the world where I've always desired to, or do I save a life? We don't live on Mount Everest. So let's just bring it down to our level. Her name is Sherry Hale. She's a member of my church. Sherry Hale is in her early 70s. Her husband, Roy Hale, likewise early 70s. Both of them became professional nurses at the late age of 22, 23. And they were both nurses, worked for 40 years in nursing, 40 years, save their money, man, they're going to travel, they're going to have a good time. Both of them nursed for 40 years, and here they are in their early 60s, going to get one of those Winnebagos and jet streams, they're going to have a good time. And right at that period of time, Sherry Hale's mother got sick. One sickness is Alzheimer's. Came upon quickly. Sherry visited her mom. Roy's getting things prepared. Sherry spending time there. Roy's getting everything ready to go. Sherry spending time there. And Roy just says, hey, we got to take care of Mom. And every day, Roy and Sherry go see Edna Hale. When I went to see Edna, they would get there early in the morning, and they would dress her. They'd spoon feed her breakfast. Then they'd play a little game with her and have devotions with her. And they'd slowly have a little time with her, put her back into bed. And she didn't remember one thing of it. She didn't remember who they were. She didn't remember the names. Had no idea that was her daughter's husband. 4, 5, 6, 7 years in a row. You know what Sherry Hale did? She put her life on hold to make the life of somebody else a whole lot better. That's up here. How much of your life has been inconvenienced by helping somebody else? I have a man in my church. He's a great guy. I don't know if he graduated from high school. He's in his 60s now. I know he didn't have any college education. Has some kids, always kind of rough, and he always wanted to see his girl go to college. Well, they got in our school, our Christian school. He goes, Pastor, I can't afford a Christian school. I said, what's this? I said, Dave, you can afford whatever you want to afford. I said, whatever you can afford is fine with us. I said, we'll take care of what have you got to do. I said, but you can find something. About 2 weeks later, he came back. He says, I'm putting my girl in a Christian school. I'll take care of it. I said, Dave, what happened? Did you get a better job? And he goes, no. And I said, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to wash cars. I believe I can wash cars, and I may wash maybe a car or 2 or 3 a week, and charge $20 or so, $60 a week, times 4 weeks, 24, 20. I can make $250. I'm going to put my girl through the Christian school. She started in kindergarten. And Dave would just wash cars, and we got to know about it. Our church people take cars over there. He got well known. He washed through cars. He did a good job, started detailing cars. But for 12 years in a row, 13 actually, he put his daughter through the Christian school. And boy, I remember up on the platform with that graduation that night, and I remember sitting there. I saw Rebecca Boggs walk on that platform. As I stepped over here to hand her diploma and have that picture taken, I looked right out there. I saw David Boggs with tears streaming down his face and said, that's my girl. Graduated from the Christian school. Hey, that's my girl. Had to wash a few cars. Hey, bless my girl. And man, I saw that pride, the right sense of pride about dad sending his life aside. I'm going to help my daughter. Hey, that's up here to me. Hey, that's above the line to me. That's pretty good Christian living there. About 2 weeks later, he came up to me and says, I got a problem. So what's your problem? He goes, she wants to go to Bible college. I said, well, that's a good problem to have. He goes, Pastor, I can't wash enough cars. I mean, I'm older. It's 13 years. But I said, Brother Dave, did God not supply this for you? I said, Brother Dave, you just pray about it. I'll pray about it. God will do something. About a month and a half went by, and I saw the application for Rebecca Boggs going to West Coast Baptist College. I called and I said, Brother Dave, I got this application. I'm supposed to fill a recommendation. I said, Rebecca wants to go. Yeah, she's going. I said, she's going. Yeah, she's going. I said, she's getting another job. He goes, nope. I said, well, okay, just tell me, how's she going? Because we sold our house. I am such a stinking horrible Christian. I saw that man look at me. He says, we sold our house. Mom and I got a little apartment. And the difference between what our mortgage was and what our payment is, and the little money we got out of there, our girl's going to Bible college. Hey, that couple worked meagerly all their life long and got to the final point where they can start living a little bit, and the kids are outside the house. He said, I'm going to just sell this thing right here. It's okay. She's going to go on. She's going to make stuff of her life. I think, man, I'm the worst Christian in my church. doesn't have to be big like that. It can be small. Let's bring everybody here, okay? I wasn't a very well-groomed child, and hygiene, all this stuff, when you live in different homes, things like that. So I knew when I got on the bus, I sat by myself. It wasn't my choice. I sat by myself. And I remember I get on the bus, and I was on the second bus stop, and I lived down at the bottom where they called all the trash people lived, and I lived on the bottom right there, and then we drove up this nice big hill, and all the wealthy people lived up there, and they said their trash washed down to the apartment-dwelling people like us, and that's where I lived, and that was okay. I didn't mind. I don't care. I moved enough times. I didn't care where I was going to be. I'm not going to stay there that long. Anyway, so I remember getting on the bus, the second stop. I walk right to the back of the bus. I take a left right there. I sit on that little wheel step right there. I put my feet up there. I thought it was the best place. It's kind of like having your own footrest right there. I look out the window. Everybody else got on the bus, but they never sit with me. That was okay. I didn't mind it. I wasn't the most hygiene kid. I'm sure there's a lot of other reasons there. But I sat right there, and no one sat next to me. It's okay. I looked out the window and enjoyed the footrest of the bus. So I was going to school. And about the seventh stop, Rick Chamberlain, the high school jock that had the leather sweater and all the medals and the football, the basketball, the stripes, and he had a straight haircut. Everyone loved Rick Chamberlain. Everyone did. And Rick Chamberlain got on the bus, and he walked straight to the back, always walked right by me, empty seat, no one ever sat there, walked back to the bus, and he fell through all the people, and it was Rick Chamberlain Day. Well, I don't know how it was. Sometime something happened, and Rick Chamberlain got on. I'd already got on there, went and sat in my little seat, put my feet up on the rest, and Rick Chamberlain come there, and he walked in the back of the bus, and I always watched him go by, like, Rick Chamberlain. He walked in the back of the bus, and man, the seats were full. He had to back up, look for a seat. Then he looked at me. My seat was empty. And he goes, you mind if I sit here? Rick Chamberlain wants to sit here next to me. I mean, I brushed that seat off. I polished that seat. You can sit right here. You can sit right here. Rick Chamberlain sat down, turned around, never said one word to me. Never did. Hobnobbed all the other guys. Bus got to the school. Rick Chamberlain steps up, gets ready to get us on the bus. He turns around. He looks down there. He goes like this. Boom. Right there. Boom. Right there. I have not washed that shoulder yet. When that junior high girl comes up to your table and wants to sit down, but there's no room, you can make her day. You can make her day. Just let the young lady sit at your high school table. You can touch someone's life. It's just a little thing. Yeah, I understand you have to pick up teams. I'm going to pick him because we're going to win. We're going to be on top of the mountain. We're going to win this game. Why don't you pick that kid over there? He's never been picked first. Yeah, well, we probably want, who cares about winning the whole day? Who cares about the trophy? How about touching someone's life and let them feel a part of something? Every single person here, most times we take people out to dinner who don't need to be taken out. But we got a little hook in their pocket that maybe one day will take us out. Hey, why don't we take someone out who can't afford to ever go out? See, that's up here. That's up here. I was in the Philippines. I learned this lesson probably most there. Preached in the morning, and boy, the Hall of Fame preachers are there, and man, David Gibbs, and boy, just all of them. I mean, just all the big time preachers, and Paul Chappell, and I can go to R.B. Roulette, and so I preached that morning, and then I'm going back to the hotel, supposed to get lunch, and come back that night. I said, man, I'm in the Philippines. I want to say, what's going on now? What are we doing now? I want to go out. I want to go out and see this part. And so Ulysses, 42 years of age, Ulysses, single man, was in charge of driving me to my hotel, my wife, Brother Gibbs, and so forth. And he was in charge. I said, Ulysses, I don't want to stay here. I'm halfway around the world. I want to see the Philippines. What do you do in the afternoon? He said, well, we run our bus routes, our jeepney routes in the afternoon. I said, I want to go. Man, take me. So he goes, you may come back in? I said, no, I'll run upstairs. I'll change like that. I'll come right back down. I went upstairs. I changed just like that. I came right back down. And Ulysses is sitting right there in the little foyer of the hotel room. Since Ulysses was nice to me, you know how the foyers are, and they have maybe a little coffee place over here. They have maybe just a little condiment place, whatever you want to call it, a little store like over here. And they had the little freezers, had the ice cream bars, things like that in there. And I looked in there and I said, there's a Haagen Daz ice cream bar. Haagen Daz is what they have in heaven. I don't know if you know that yet, but they do. They have Haagen Daz ice cream bars in heaven, okay? And if you don't believe it, you may never find out either, okay? I'll let you know, okay? So I say, hey, listen, come over here. Man, let's get ourselves a Haagen Daz ice cream bar. He comes over and he goes, oh, no. I said, no, they're good. He said, no. I said, no, you're driving. I'm going to get you a Haagen Daz. He goes, I can't do that. I said, why? He goes, they're $4.95. I said, I know. There's usually $2.50 at a grocery store, but I had a hotel. It's $4. I said, sorry. He goes, no, I can't do that. I said, look, it's an ice cream bar. Just pick yourself a Haagen Daz ice cream bar. Here's what he said. That's a whole week's worth of wages for me. I make $4 a week, Pastor Ruhl. I make $4 a week. Now I'm not sure what the wages are. I don't know. Maybe make $100 a day plus, $500 a week. Would you spend $500 for a Haagen Daz ice cream bar? I would. I love ice cream. So I mean, people say, you eat ice cream every night. No, I miss every night every once in a while, but I love this stuff. I said, listen, I don't care, man. I'm buying a Haagen Daz ice cream bar. I pulled two out of there. I went and paid that cashier. I gave him one. I took one. We got in that Jeep and he started writing down there. And as he started writing down the words, you would think he had meticulously learned how to open a Haagen Daz ice cream bar. He not tear the paper. He opened it and he pulled it out. And he savored every single. It's driving me crazy. I about ate half of his, so it's just driving me crazy. And then I saw him fold the paper, put it back in his pocket. And again, I said to myself, I'm the most wicked Christian I know. That Sunday night, guess who picked me up from church? Ulysses. Nice, well-dressed, but he was the pastor's chauffeur for the week. In his pocket, he had the wooden spoon all cleaned off. He had the date written on it. She have no idea how much that means. An ice cream bar, and he wrote the date on it and kept it. Do you know what Jesus meant by saying, this is the bare minimum, folks. This is the eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I'm just looking for someone to step up here. I'm looking for someone to die to their own personal things. I finally got my second car. I got my garage. I don't have to go ahead and work extra hours. And I finally got I arrived where I'm where I'm supposed to be. Jesus said, we don't have time for that type of living. Number one, it takes a personal decision to say, I'm not living the line. I'm going up here. And that means it takes you to stop what you're doing in your own personal ambition, your own personal goals, and you got to stop that right there and stop and help somebody else just to have life. We just came through the worst catastrophic event in the state of California. Before 62 days ago, the largest fire that destroyed buildings destroyed 5,400 buildings. The second largest building fire, devastating fire, destroyed 2,700. Next was the 1,000. I can list the next 8 or 9, add all those up together, and it doesn't even measure the 18,000 homes that were burnt in a town called Paradise of 27,000 people. You talk about tragedy. You talk about heartache. A man that was a robust man who was a heavy equipment operator. He came to we opened our church just like this right here. Said, folks, we don't have a cot. We don't have a bed, but we have a roof over our head and we'll find a warm meal. And I called every brother I knew up and said, we're going to help these people. And they drove out these flames and said, we're going to help them. And so when they went through the line, I just said, what's your story, man? What's your story? He says, big, robust guy, heavy equipment operator. He goes, I woke up at 6:30 this morning. I knew we were in the red flag zone. I knew that everyone knew there was just a a bad time, like the perfect storm is setting up, and winds were there, and I got up out of bed at 6:30 in the morning. I looked across the ridge. I saw smoke way out there. I thought, well, that's not good. That's not good. I better get ready to go to work. Hopped in the shower, and so I took about 4 or 5 minute shower. I quickly ran outside, looked out the window, the flames were across my street, higher than the house. I ran inside, put my breeches on, grabbed a shirt, ran outside. The flames are on my side of the house. My truck in my driveway is on fire. My rear view mirror on my driver's seat is melted off. I slid on this side, got over there, pulled my truck out. 2 more minutes, I would have been dead in that fire. I have nothing left now. I can repeat that story not hundreds of times, but thousands of times. They have nothing. They have nothing. Zero. 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 I had 2 pastors visit our church, and I said, tell me your story. They both lost their houses. They don't have 1 stitch of clothing. They walked in a pair of jeans, a makeshift pair of shoes, and they said, Brother Ruhl, we're sorry we're dressed this way. Hey, I said, I don't care how you're dressed. Come on in. And they told the story. They got 22 funerals to do. Some people have nothing. Number 1, it takes a personal decision. Number 2, you can't lower the line. Sometimes we try to lower the line to extend the reach. Don't ever do that, preacher. Well, if we just shave our convictions over here, we'll get more over here. And don't you let him talk to you in that stuff. Don't be, well, we play this type of music over here. We'll get some more. You can't lower your standards to try to extend your reach. Listen, they don't need more of the world. They need more of what you have right here. And don't change your life, change their life. Let the Word of God get inside of it. Let the preacher just resound in the voice. Let the Word of God open up to them. And they'll say, I want what you have, not more of what I want to have. And so number 1, you got to make a personal decision. I'm living above the line. Number 2, I'm not bothering that line. I'm not changing the line. I'm not going to draw the line down. I'm going to stay right where it is and get above that line. And number 3, can't go against your choice. We talk about the men who influenced our lives. I mentioned Lester Roloff, wonderful singer, Brother Bruce. You ought to sing more like him, okay? Number 2 was Johnny Pope. And number 3 is Jack Hyles. Those men touched my life. I hadn't had really any Lester Roloff was a little voice of the radio. I never met him, never shook his hand. Johnny Pope I never met. I heard him preach one time. Then Jack Hyles, I heard him, so I went to college there. But one thing about those men I noticed, once they went above the line, they never came back. They never came back. Preacher, I've watched a lot of people help people. They come right back to where they live. They go out, there's like a little missionary journey. I'll go up there and help them, they'll come back over here. You know, I'll be nice to them, they'll go ahead and skim my business. There's something about living that line and not loading the line, but once you get up there, you can't turn back. And Jesus Christ was in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he prayed a prayer, Father, not my will, for if it be possible to let this cup pass before me. But I know what's going to happen in a matter of a few hours. They're going to rip my face off, literally. They're going to buffet me and buffet me and buffet me and buffet me. They're going to put that bag over my head, and when they take the bag off, I'm not going to be recognized as a human being, let alone a man. They're going to go ahead and scourge me, flog me. They're going to take those kind of 19 and whip them around there. They're going to pull every flesh off of my body. They're going to try to cut me in two. They're going to put a crown of thorns on my head. They're going to nail me to a stick. Then he said, but nevertheless, it ain't about me. It's all about you. You make a personal decision. I ain't living here. I ain't living here. I'm living up here. Number 2, you can't budge that line. You can't try to bring it down. Number 3, listen to me. There's enough gray hair here that knows what I'm talking about. Once you make that decision, you can't come back down. I get it in my town all the time. We live in California, preaching. We've been in your church for 30 years, but well, if I moved to North Carolina or Tennessee, it's a whole lot better living over there, a lot cheaper over there. And, God's been good, so I think I'll go out there. I mean, God took care of you for 30 years, paying all your bills. You don't think he'd do it for the next 10? You know what that tells your kids? You did it while you did it, but it really ain't you. I'm done. Whatever happened to Mike Mazer? He never made it to the top. He stopped, and he took Lincoln Hall, got him inside his own coat, and best he could have went down those couple thousand feet, got down to that summit camp, and got him in the tent, and got him all warmed up, and got some more blankets and some hot soup and hot water. Got him on down to the next base camp, and they got a helicopter to come in, and they took Lincoln Hall away. Dan Mazer has done $60,000, 5 years of training. All done. About 3.5 months later, Mike Mazer was watching TV, and Lincoln Hall lived. They pushed Lincoln Hall out of the hospital. He had no fingers, all blackened stubs, all bandaged up. Had no toes, all frostbit off. Here's the worst part. He had no nose, had a black hole right here, didn't look good. No ears, all frostbit off. And they showed this man with stubs, no ears and no nose, and he couldn't really talk very well, and he's getting out of the hospital, but his mother was there. His mother said these words, "We don't know who saved our son, but wherever you are, you're 1 in a million. You're 1 in a million. Thank you for saving my son's life." And Dan Mazer got off his reclining chair and stood up. He says, "I'm standing on top of the world now." Whose life are you helping right now? Whose life are you putting up? Ladies and gentlemen, our churches will die if we live the line. Got to make a decision. Can't lower any standards. We got to say, I'm in it for the long run. And I challenge this church right here, just like I challenge my church. Jesus said, you can have the eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you, someone's going to have to live up here. Tonight, would you contemplate saying, Lord, in 2019, don't look for somebody else around you. I don't like people when they walk the aisle and say, somebody else is going to walk the aisle, what am I going to do? I don't know if they walk the aisle in your church. I don't even know. But if you really think America's going to get better, if you think North Carolina's going to get better, if you think our world's going to get better by living this right here, you're totally wrong. That's why Jesus Christ came. So we've got to change this stuff. Someone's going to have to go up here. And tonight, I'm going to ask, just another preacher, with somebody here tonight say, I'm going to start living up there. I'm going to invite those kids to my table. I'm going to see my youth group. I'm going to take them out to dinner over here. I'm going to buy someone that don't have something. We've got to make this a better place to live.